You know, every time Meghan Markle dares to dream, to create, to live out loud in her purpose, the world splits into two camps. On one side, you have people who are genuinely inspired, who see a brilliant, empathetic, talented woman stepping into her light and want to celebrate that. And then, on the other side, well, you know who they are. The bitter ones, the jealous ones, the tabloid leeches and self-proclaimed royal experts who never miss an opportunity to tear her down. But here's the thing, they never seem to learn. Every time they try to block her blessings, she just turns around and levels up. And that's exactly what we saw in the latest episode of Meghan's podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. Now, if you haven't been listening, let me tell you, this is not just another celebrity podcast. This is Meghan building something sacred, something thoughtful, something for us. A space where women can be honest about the challenges, the vulnerability, and the power that comes with creating something meaningful in a world that constantly tries to shrink us. In this episode, she sat down with Jamie Kern Lima, the co-founder of IT Cosmetics, a businesswoman who knows firsthand what it means to be told no 100 times before that one yes changes your life. But this wasn't just two successful women chatting business. This was a conversation about fear, about doubt, about friendship, and about the kind of soul-level encouragement that helps a person take a small idea and turn it into a movement. And let me just say, Meghan showed us once again why she's not just a duchess. She's a force. She talked about how the idea for her new lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, started not as some flashy PR project, but as something personal, something joyful. She said, at the beginning, I just liked making jam. All I liked to do was just make jam and preserves. Can you picture that? Meghan in her kitchen making jam with love, with intention, just sharing it with friends and family. Not for attention, not for headlines, just because it brought her joy. But here's where it gets deep. She admitted that even as people encouraged her, even as they told her how much they loved what she was making, she was still playing small. She said, I thought I'll just do small batch jam from home. Why? Because like so many women, especially women of colour, she was carrying the weight of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being mocked for daring to do something outside the box. And isn't that exactly what the media has done? When Meghan launched her jam, the same press that gave wall-to-wall praise to Kate Middleton for baking bread in a staged royal photo op turned around and said Meghan selling jam was desperate. They laughed, they sneered. They dragged her through the mud, again. But what they didn't realize was that this was never about jam. This was about legacy, about storytelling, about joy, cultivated and shared on Meghan's own terms. And then came one of the most beautiful moments in the episode. Meghan talked about her mentor and friend, the legendary Oprah Winfrey. Now let me tell you, when Oprah speaks, people listen. And she gave Meghan the kind of advice that makes you stop and reflect. She said, there are tons of things you could put your name on, but for you and how you like to show up for people, once you figure out how to encapsulate your essence, then you'll know. Just sit with that for a second. Encapsulate your essence. That's what American Riviera Orchard is. It's not just a business. It's Meghan showing up fully, authentically, not polished to fit someone else's mold, but rooted in who she is. A woman who leads with heart, who creates from a place of joy, who isn't afraid to start small and dream big. And guess what? Her raspberry jam sold out in under an hour, 1 hour. No massive ad campaign, no traditional marketing blitz, just Meghan's name, the quality of her product, and a growing army of people who believe in her. That's influence, that's impact, that's the kind of power you can't manufacture with palace PR. Now Jamie also played a big role in encouraging Meghan through the process. Meghan said she was originally planning to launch in just a couple of months, but Jamie told her flat out, that's too soon. And Meghan, being open, being humble, received it. She said that advice gave her the space and grace to take her time, to move at her own pace, to block out the noise and listen to her intuition. And that's such a powerful lesson, isn't it? How often do we feel pressured to meet someone else's deadline, someone else's idea of success? Meghan said it beautifully. To really not be concerned about someone else's urgency or the media's urgency or speculation's urgency somehow becoming my urgency. That's how you stay rooted. That's how you protect your peace. She also talked about the illusion social media creates. You see the finished product, the perfect packaging, the glowing reviews, but what you don't see is the messy process, the setbacks, the doubts, the late nights where you wonder if you're even good enough. And let's not forget, Meghan's not doing this in private. She's building something new under the most intense spotlight imaginable, with vultures circling, just waiting for her to stumble. But she hasn't stumbled. She's soared. And the haters, they're left clinging to their bitterness, obsessed with a woman they claim to despise. Meghan's just out here making jam, building brands, raising babies, and living her truth. And what really struck me is how she talked about questioning not just the business, but herself. That vulnerability is real, it's raw, it's relatable, because how many of us have been there? When a project doesn't go as planned, when people criticize, when you feel like maybe you're not cut out for this, it's easy to let that doubt sink in. But Meghan didn't let it consume her. She held on to her purpose, surrounded herself with real ones. Not yes men, not clout chasers, but people who pour into her with honesty and love. And that's what this moment is. It's not about royalty, it's not about revenge. It's about resilience, about refusing to be boxed in by a toxic narrative, about creating from a place of peace instead of performance. So, let's be clear. Meghan Markle is not playing small, not anymore, and no matter how many headlines they write, no matter how many smear campaigns they launch, they can't stop this, because this isn't about a title, it's about a woman reclaiming her power one jar of jam at a time. Meghan Markle shares how Oprah Winfrey helped her think bigger about launching her brand. The TV icon helped inspire the Duchess of Sussex take her idea of making small batch jam to the next level. Meghan shared on her latest podcast. On the April 29th episode of Confessions of a Female Founder, the Duchess of Sussex's podcast with Lemonada Media, she welcomed her friend and co-founder of IT Cosmetics, Jamie Kern Lima. The conversation included Meghan talking about launching her lifestyle brand, as ever, thanks to some wise wisdom from friends. Meghan explained, "At the beginning, I just liked making jam. All I liked to do was just make jam and preserves, and it went from, okay, I'm going to share this jam with lots of friends and family, to people really like it and it brings me joy, so maybe I can share it more broadly." But even then, I was in so much fear of failure or opinion that I wasn't thinking big enough at first. I thought, I'll just do small batch jam from home. And I had to step back and look at what I was doing and saying, am I playing small because I want to play small? Or am I setting in motion playing small because I'm scared? It was Winfrey, who was a guest at Meghan and Prince Harry's wedding in 2018, who gave her some advice to consider. Oprah, who I know as a mentor and friend to you, same for me, she was the one that said, there are tons of things you could put your name on. But for you and how you like to show up for people, once you figure out how to encapsulate your essence, then you'll know. Asprey Spread was one of the first products that launched for As Ever, which sold out its first release in under an hour earlier this month. Kern Lima also offered advice to Meghan as she got As Ever off the ground. Meghan said, for me, starting a company, it's newer. I am surrounded by very savvy businesswomen friends. You and I had just become friends, and I was talking to you about business. I remember you said to me, okay, so what's the timeline? I said, oh, a couple months from now. You said, that's too soon. And I didn't want to hear that, but you're right. You planted a seed that became a knowing for me, and it gave me the grace to have the space to take my time until it was right, she continued. To really not be concerned about someone else's urgency or the media's urgency or speculation's urgency somehow becoming my urgency. To wait until you're ready. Even if I didn't want to hear it, it was the thing that I needed to hear, Kern Lima added. If all of a sudden our timelines are being pushed out or something, we think we did something wrong. We think, oh, everyone else sure looks like they have it together on social media or whatever, it must just be me. Because a lot of times when you look at companies or you look at businesses or anything online, you see the outcome or the external. Meghan agreed. Yes, they create the illusion of, here's the finished product and look at how great it is. It's just tied up with a bow and the bow is perfect, as opposed to the process is not perfect. The process can be painful and it can be riddled with things that don't just make you question your business, they make you question yourself. And if you're here for that, if you're here for truth, if you're here for bold, brilliant women who refuse to shrink themselves, then you are exactly where you need to be. This is Royal Sussex Squad, and we ride for Meghan. We ride for Harry. We stand up for what's right, we call out the bull, and we make no apologies for demanding better. So if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment to let me know you're part of the squad, and if you'd like to support this channel, hit that super thanks button. Your love keeps this movement alive, and I can't thank you enough. Until next time, keep protecting your peace, keep lifting up the truth, and as always, stay royal.